Close and know the fire burn forever the way. 어차피 비싸 내가 표처럼 열을 쏘는 너를 같이 부을 수 있어. Sorry, I'm an anti-romantic. 이러던 되는데 다 보이지 않는 끝이 숙제보다 변기 들자도 있네. So stupid, 자꾸만 love song it's in the rom-com. Sama ba? 행복하던 너를 red line. Sorry, I'm an anti-romantic. 사랑 미치니까 멀리 나윈다 별다 말고 다가올 길 없다 원래. Sorry, I'm an anti-romantic. 사랑 미치니까 romantic. 나윈다 별다 자고 남는 나 기다리게 될까 두려워. 라라리라 라라라. 남이랍지랍지 될까 두려워. 라라리라이 라리라이 라라라 라라라라. 따라라따라 따라라따라. You make me feel special. That's it, 나나나나나나 가자. 갑자기 한 달에 만났건 날 어디 가도 들어가 네가만 같고 그땐 달고 지금 나 이랬던 말은 내게 할 말은 내가 수정하지마 또 넌 그 한마디에 Everything's alright 졸라한 nobody I said to somebody 특별한 말을 변해 You make me feel special 세상이 아무리 날 두저 엎쳐도 아프고 아픈 말들은 날 글러도 네가 있어 좀 더 쉬어서 That's what you do I cannot feel special 아무것도 네 춘천을 따가도 사랑도 내 사랑을 따가도 내부드는 이 목소리에 I feel love I feel so special 조금 진정하고 싶어서 뭐좀 벤치를 세웠어 널래 I'm 한 듯이 만나래 한 듯이 것만 다가다 있을게. 어쭈 시를 씌워서 날래 오늘의 한 듯이 만나래 한 듯이 것만 다가다 있을게. 이렇게 내 앞에 이렇게 내 너에 있어 내 손기대해. Everything's alright. 졸라한 nobody. 어쩌다 somebody. 특별한 말을 변해. You make me feel special. 세상에 아무리 나도 접쳐도 아프고 앞말들은 날 들러도 네가 있어 좀 더 쉬어서. That's what you do. I gonna feel special. 아무것도 내 칭찬했다가도 내 사람 냈다가도 내 부르는 이 목소리에 I feel love. I feel so special. Oh, you make everything alright. 그러면 해 하자. 우린 bye. 나 해준다. 아이야 바라신다. I owe to you. You make me feel special. 미련나이도 접쳐도 아프고 말투는 날 걸러도 네가 있어 좀 더 쉬어서. That's what you do. I cannot feel special. 아무것도 네 칭찬했다가도 사랑도 내 사람 났다가도 내 부르는 이 목소리에 I feel love. I feel so special. 단정모 단체투 I feel so special. 나나나나나나나나나나나나 다이스 가자. 딴딴 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 너는 어쩌겠어. 너는 네가 없으면 너라는 곳으로 왼쪽으로 늘 차가워. 우리는 못하겠어. 나는 네가 없으면 yeah, 나를 같이는 yeah. Baby 우리의 뜻뜻함 내고 그대 같이 가고 싶어. 어떤 억울하도 우리 사랑이 빠지 못해. Tell me 나요 tell me 나요 너 터진 내줘 미안했어. 꼬리 마음에서 그런지 싫어했어. 널 겁겁이 나는 걸 어쩌겠어. 내가 웃으면 내 마음 편행하는 재미없어. 나라만 안했어. 어찌 보면 사랑만 느끼지만 언제라도 나 편히 서기서 편하게 생각해도 돼. Cause I'm your home. Cause I'm your home. Because I'm your home. 내가 올 수 있는 곳. 이미 나는 너의 말은 지금 같다. 지금은 그렇다고 이 맘이 잡까 그게 아니야. 그대가 더 좋아. 나도 나가 좋아. 나를 가는 살아가는 나가 주면 돼. Tell me right now 말 좀 해줘. 미안했어. 그래 마음에서 지치랬어. 널 꺾어내는 걸 어쩌겠어. 내가 웃으면 내 마음 편히 가는 재미없어. 너는 안 되겠어. 어찌 보면 저랑만 느끼지만 편하게 생각해도 돼. Iroke nore. Sipchi ana. Sugod naman ko do. Chinchoro. Nel mosop ko sipchi ana. Yar. Nanano. Egisel ko. Nanano. Egisel ko. Cause I'm your home, 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 home. Good morning, sir. Kaya sugod na tag-klase. Cause you're living in the world of fool. Mariyo naman gud sa nakabutang diya sa screen sa cellphone ug sa laptop good no, pero ang akong kuan control ang nasa cellphone, ang response din ang nasa laptop. You know that one? Sabta na lang kay kabalo kung di kag balog yapon ani. Sa ay pagbuot. Samok ba ko ilabot? Ambot, search sa Google. Dapat mabawa na ninyo kay that is very basic. Full name of Rizal. Even his nickname. That is the basic of our history. Even elementary pupils can answer that one. Pero ikaw, elementary pa mo kang ano, di ka ka-answer. I-search ki kang Uncle Google. Ay, gunsa rin yung maigsawan mo? Okay. Okay? Ay, saba. Anong klase mi? Kalami, baka ni mo kapakon nga.
So, good morning, everyone. Hello, hello.
Morning, sir.
Okay, good
Morning,
morning.
sir.
Good morning, good morning. So, let's start our class. Today, we'll be discussing another topic. So, we're done discussing about electromagnetism, the magnets. No? So, now we'll be discussing another topics of physics. And I think you are familiar with this because, you've been uh, natackled na niya siya. Okay, so during sa inyong junior high school years. So let's try to have a sort of review. So we'll be dealing with the concept today. So no calculations yet, but we'll be focusing sa theory and principle. So please bear with me. Okay. So in physics, nakikitawag na optics and acoustic class. So that is the higher, that is the higher, uh, let's say, name. Meron siyang title. That is one. Kung sa college pa na siya, if you are on the if you are taking sciences and mathematics na mga courses, it is not called physics or it's not called light, etc. It is called optics and acoustics. So the optics that I'm talking about here is the physics of light. Okay, are you familiar with the word light? Di ba? Duha ka mo klase ang pangalan sa light, no? Naatay light nga ano, sa English reference, naatay light nga katong kwan kana hayag, napoy light nga kanang hagkap, no? But in here, why and how do we see light? Di ba? Have you ever questioned yourselves? Ano ko pangita kong kahayag? Ano yung mga kaya ko nakitaan kay okay pa ba ni? Di pa ba ni siya katong kahayag na kwan? So, uh, what kind of light do you see, class, every day? May I know? What kind of, uh, can you please describe the kind of light na akakitaan ninyo every day? Okay, may I ask, JV? JV? Are you there, JV? Kabahar? Hello? May audible, class, sa inyo, ah? Hindi magtubag. Naka dyan, JV, or cellphone namin mong naka-on? Okay, how about you, Hope? I-save ko na si JV, Hope.
Sir?
Okay, Hope, can you uh, describe what kind of light do you see every day?
Well, the kind of light that I see every day, sir, brightens um all around in our place, sir. It's
Uh,
bright
it's bright. What else?
and it lightens everything, sir, and it makes me see the things around me.
Okay, so, di ba, if you talk, thank you so much for that, Hope. Di ba, if you talk about light, sa common sense lang nato, light is something that is bright, di ba? Light is something that help us to see, kwan through darkness, and etc. But, if you'll be identifying the color of the light, makitaan ba nato siya? Kung sa'y color sa light? You can check your
Dili, sir.
dili, di ba? You can check your answer if di mo makatubag. Di ba, dili na to siya makitaan. Though we can see the structure of the light. It's the even the kwan, no? Even ang iyang the length of the light because of the sun rays and etc. But we are not sure what kind of colors or what are the colors behind those light. So that is the reason why we need to understand now why and how do we see the light. What's the reason? Siyempre, sila kay mata. Yes, it's part of the process. No, we have the eyes, but the eyes is something that we can also compare to. Okay, we will try to go with that situation. So, what is light? Actually, we will be discussing about the properties of the light, the colors, what is the connection of the reflections in the mirrors, and also the refraction in lenses. So, it's about optics today. Now, the properties of light, if you talk about light noble class, light travels in a straight lines. Diba? Like, for example, if we have a laser, uh, the light can only be, the factor that can only affect the direction of the light is the refraction. Or let's say the properties. Like, for example, we have the reflection, we have the refraction, diffraction, the interference. So those properties actually can affect the direction of the light. But in physics, we have to understand that the light only travels in one direction. Diba? Just like the sun and the earth. Now, without the presence of the atmosphere, Manggod, the light will not be scattered all around the earth. No? So imagine lang kung ang sun will only rays on one direction. So what will happen to the whole kwan? Di ba? Only one portion of the planet will be kwan. Let's say will benefit the presence of the sun. So what will happen is that because of the atmosphere, mas scattered ang iyang reflection. There will be a reflection of the sun in every part of the earth. So gawa siguro kung magtuyok ang earth, no? Magkuan siya, mag-revolve siya. So kung mag-revolve ang earth, then that's the reason na atay mga kuan, na atay mga instances na ay night, na ay days, or most of the time, no, some places only have this light but they don't have any darkness, or some places also has this darkness but don't have any lights. So na difference between the time sa ilahang kwan, sa ilahang time constraint nila. Now, light travel much faster than the sound. Okay, do you believe in this principle that light travels much faster than the sound? Diba? If you will be
Sir.
comparing this one to the connection of the waves. If we go back on discussing about the waves, since we're done discussing the waves, no? We can say actually that the electromagnetic waves moves faster in the light rather than putting that electromagnetic waves in any medium like solid and liquid na mediums. But if we say that the light is traveling in air, diba? They are much faster than the sound because the sound can only be considered fast if gabi na, di ba? Natawag na nala siya echo. Bali, the property of echo. So, like this one, there are instances that we actually experience this, di ba? Like for example, the thunder and the lightning start at the same time, but we will see the lightning first before the thunderstorm. Okay, so the lightning strikes first before the thunder. It means the light moves faster and then the sound will follow. So, dili siya ingon nga tungod kay nagbangga ang hangin sa ibabaw, nagtingog una ay nag-lightning. No, di ba? Una ang light ay ang sound. It's the same thing when you are starting a pistol that is fired and we see the smoke first and then hear the bang. So, especially not only the pistols, but especially those cannons, no? Also the rockets. So, the light first before the smoke, or the light first before the sound, di ba? So, isa pa may mga kuwan, when you are trying to spark, no? Kalabitang ipabangga na yung mga bato. Okay, una makita ng inyahang siga ay din ang sound sa bato nga nagkuan sila nagbangga. Okay? So, but kung siya, kanang, kung taga na to siya laing na factors class, like, light can be distorted because, like I've said, sound can only be affected by let's say, by its surrounding. But the light can be affected by the things. Okay? It depends on the matter. So, if the light is, for example, if the light travels in liquid, usually it will take time for the light to reach on the bottom. So that's the reason why most of the ocean, or let's say the sea, uh, most of the animals there, wala dili sila makakuha, no? Dili sila makakita, o dili sila makakuha, dili sila wala pa nila na experience na maabot sila sa light ito sa ilalom sa dagat. Okay, because again the light travels slower when they are in the liquid. Oh, so maybe that's the reason also po, nga every time nga maggabi tapos dako kay ang moon, most of the fish are very ma-attract sila sa light because let's say it's it is not happening all the time that they can see the reflection of the light, and it amazes them, di ba? Especially kung naa ka sa depth for very long time, and then most of the aquatic animals are very attracted to light. That's the reason why most of those the predators, they are using the light as their weapon to invite, no, the prey. So yan na. Now, light travels very fast. So it says that the light travels 3.0 times 10 to the power of 8 meter per second on air. And then if you convert it into miles, it's 186,000 miles per second. At the speed of light, it could travel the equivalent of 8 times around the world in 1 second. Now, light can also be part of what we call time traveling. So, have you seen a movie na naay ka na time travel ang 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 what do you call this one? Ang kanabitang ang situation, di ba? Most of the time traveling ang kanang event class. Nasa ni capsule, and then suddenly if someone musulod na nga capsule, you cannot see the smoke actually. What you can see is that there will be a spark of light. Kabantay mo na sa mga salida, no? Uh, the scientists believe that if the light can travel faster, depending on the maximum probability, let's say that the light can travel 16 times that its original original niya nga pag-travel. Imagine that one if you will be combining the time and then the velocity of this light. So it will actually affect because let's say in a astronomical discussion, we are referring our time to the presence of the sun. Okay, it's all about the revolution. And then if di ba, magdepend ta kung pila ka days ang pagkuan, pila ka hours, pila ka seconds, pila ka weeks, pila ka months. And if the sun itself has only 3.08 times 10 to the power, 3.0 times 10 to the power of 8 meter per second na on its kana static na position. What if what if ato siyang i-weaponize ang usa ka light and then turn it into a time traveling machine? Ato siyang i-add up that too. So it's the light that matters in the situation. So what will happen is that as a human, as a subject, you will be converted into light, and then through medium, you can now have pwede na din ka maka-travel, no? Pwede na nimo pwede na ka mo race against the time because that's how fast you are. Okay, you have converted yourself into a light. Now, light can create shadows. Okay, that's also one of the reason why we can say that there is a light because we create shadows. Light also creates shadows. So shadows are places where light is blocked. So we have an example here of a tree, no, where the sun rays, and then uh, there is a reflection of the tree. So normal ba siya? Yes, it's normal because it means that the light is really it's very vulnerable when it comes to some objects. Light travels in waves. So we call it electromagnetic waves, no? A wave is a disturbance that transfers energy from place to place. So let's compare it to our eyes. The reason why we can see the light flash because it is through reflection. Our eyes, let's say our eyes is also an object that is created to at least see the real purpose of the presence of the light. And then our eyes also is absorbing that electromagnetic spectrum coming from the rays of the light. Though we cannot see actually na ang light na tumakitan is 100% white, 100% green, 100% etc. sa mga colors niya. But the moment that our eyes converted those rays into multiple colors, and that's the reason why we can actually say that the light exists. What characteristics do light waves have? Now, light waves are like other kind of waves. They have crest, throws, wavelength, frequency, and speed. However, light waves are electromagnetic. It means that they have a component that is electric and magnetic. Sir, okay ra ba na magkuan? Okay ra ba nga kanang ma-absorb na to ang electromagnetic waves sa atong eyes? That's the reason nga naapot natin category sa lights, no? Na atay mga lights na made up of radiation, atay lights made up of ultraviolets. We also have light that is made up of X-rays, radio, microwave, heat, those type of electromagnetic waves. Nanasaray kanya-kanya nga mga nanasaray kanya-kanya nga mga components. But the most common of those examples are that they are made up of electromagnetic waves. Are they dangerous? It depends on the components. Like, most of the radiation is not really good for the body, but most of the radiation as well is really good. Kay, may radiation nga pwede no? Ano yung mga lights nga, although they are very invisible, but very transparent, the effect of that one in our body is helpful. Like, most of the cancer patients usually uses this kind of device that is made up of radiation to kill the cancer cells, no, without undergoing undergoing operation. So most of also the X-rays, di ba? And we also have this contrast, natin mga kanya-kanyang names sa light, like alpha, omega, no, beta. Also pa na siyang mga Greeks di ang mga names. Those could be part also of the kwan. That is, the names can only exist depending on the kwan, on the strength, no, of those electromagnetic waves. We see things because they reflect light into our eyes. This is literally the only way we get to see the things. All objects we see either create light or reflects the light. Your eyes is the reason why you can see things. Uh, Although it is not the typical mirror na nabuuan nato. But if you compare the eyes to the prism, okay, let's talk about prism, no? So prism, ang God, it's all about the scattering of the lights. You absorb one specific light in your eye, and then your eyes now will be transferring that information, scattered it into your brain, and then those synapses inside your brain will not try to convert those lights nga, let's say, imong nakitaan into many. So, sir, unsa ang pagkabalo nga red, yellow, green na siya? I keep on repeating this example. One of the philosophers said, ang good na, by the moment that you are born, you are learned how to identify colors, di ba? You are taught on how to identify colors. Some of you will be taught on identifying what is red. Some of you will be let's say mag-present sila og mga different colors. So identify mo red na siya, orange, blue, and then etc. Sorry? Excuse me guys. Naglimpyo para ba? Sa taas. Okay. So what is the reason kinanatudluan? Psychologically speaking, our mental capability of identifying the light depends on the learnings that we have in our surroundings. So in the very first existence, only the white light jud ang naa. But as we start, understanding the purpose of the scholars and etc., every time that we observe light from our surroundings, we can now directly identify the colors. So kung magngit-ngit na siya, kung wala yung light makita mo, what can you see? Di ba black lang? Di ba there's no colors? Because the only thing that your brain can interpret is the presence of the darkness, of the black. But with the presence of the light, it can actually convert into many colors, depending on the capacity of your brain to directly interpret that light. So, usahay, di ba, pag magsigag kalit ang suga from the darkness, what you can see, di ba, puti man na. No, kanang halap pa. You cannot identify the colors because your brain cannot interpret it already pa. But once you have clearly seen the situation, maka-identify na rin ka because kabalo naman ka. Red ni siya, green ni siya, violet ni siya, blue ni siya, and etc. Okay? Like this one, because of the sun rays, you can actually see that the word in this paper is homework. And then your eyes now will interpret the word that you have seen in this paper into, word. So may muna siyang, okay, homework. And then at the back, on the processes sa imong brain dayon, the processing mag-process na imong brain dayon to interpret that the things that you have seen. So, homework. So, sir, maapektuhan ba gyapon ang existence sa color kung mag-lose ng eyesight? Yes, of course. Di ba? Saan pag-interpret sa imong eyes, sa imong brain na if your eyes is affected. So, yan na siya ang iyang cycle. Yan na ang logic behind the use of our eyes, and as an example for the prism. So electromagnetic radiation. So light is a form of energy, or also known as electromagnetic radiation. So it comes from the sun and other sources. Some radiation are natural. Some radiation are also they're also industrialized. So if we talk about industrialized, those kind of radiation were already processed. So let's say that it has the presence of the light, but the component used is not that fun anymore. Di na siya maayo. It's the same thing on, creating a nuclear plant. And then since the nuclear plant can only exist with the presence of the multiple atoms or matters inside a container, splicing and then releasing the heat and etc. The radiation that will be the product of that nuclear is it's not really good because it will either destroy the matter inside of you, or the matter that the living things were kanang composed, or destroy, di ba? Or i-change baka niya ang iyang shape, or kwan. Di ba? Like what happened bitaw sa Japan, class. Ito natabo sa katang nuclear and atomic bombing. So most of the shadows to that too, kwan siya, nag-remain siya, no? The reflection of those people who are victims of that massive radiation is naay mga natabo nga changes, natabo nga mga unexpected events, may mga natabo nga mga unexplainable nga mga kanang damages. So daghan kaayo. Okay? So travels at the speed of light, it is mostly invisible, it carries energy. Yeah. So light also is considered as a light energy because let's say that most of the lights are converted into electricity. And it's very important to society, and it's something you can't be without for many reasons. So practically speaking, you cannot just live without the presence of the light. Okay? Pag burn out maganik, syagit na maganik ka. Diba? Palungan ng sugal, syagit na maganik ka. So you need the presence of the light. So, sir, what will happen if mawala ang sun? Diba? Diba na kay mga kwan, diba karon class, na kay mga hypothetical na mga kwan, na mga studies about what if mawala ang sun? Saka may tabo. Juvil. Kung mawala ang sun, Juvil.
Ngit-ngit, sir.
Ngit-ngit, diba? Gawa sa ngit-ngit, what will happen to the earth?
Magkagubot.
Magkagubot.
Siyo po ng art sir sa
Siyo po na?
ang
Siyo
art.
po sa... okay. Magkakwan, magkakwan, black holes.
Walay life, sir.
Walay life, diba? Exactly.
Magbugnaw, sir.
Yes, there will be total kanang kwan, diba? Na total coldness. Okay, what will be the kwan? Usa may absorb sa ato ang kwan? Usa may absorb sa core sa atong earth without the presence of the sun. Okay? That's very kwan, diba? That's very alarming. But it will take millions of years pa man pod to happen that kana siya nga situation. But who knows, diba? Maybe on that period of time, Mars can now be diba? Part of one of the living planet. Diba? We will never know. Gawa siguro kung ma-reincarnate mo puhon. Okay, so let's summarize the properties of the light. So light travels in straight lines and is a form of energy. Again, it can only be affected by let's say a factor that will cause the change of the direction. And travel much faster. It's 1,000,000 times faster than the sound. Again, it depends on, in the situation. Like I've said, most of the experiments about time travels really has something to do with the presence of the light. So, recreating the purpose of the light can actually give us an idea that it can be billion or trillion times faster. And we see things because they reflect light into our eyes through prism. And shadows are formed when light is blocked by an object. And visible light is only a small part of the electromagnetic spectrum. The other parts are the invisible to the human eye, but not necessarily the eyes of the other animals. So, uh, the stars, if we go back on the astronomical kanang mga stars na makita nato, actually, di ba, they're not stars, they're actually, there's actually kind of mga planets lang nag-evolve around the universe. And then, because of the reflection of the light, mura siya wala na siya what you call this one? Ano bitang, spark na to gakitan, no? Because the light outside really reflects to every planet, for example. Okay, now how about reflection and the mirrors? Actually, there is an computation involved, Danny, but di lang sana to in computation, no? Especially on the parts of the mirrors, so medyo na-ado siya Okay, so let's talk about the regular and the diffuse reflection. So what's the difference? Okay, the reflection is caused by how the light is being deflected. Okay? Mo-bounce siya, no? But it depends on the surface. So a smooth, shiny surfaces have a regular reflection. The rough, dull surfaces have what we call a diffused reflection. So a diffused reflection is when the light is scattered in a different directions. So let's try to observe this illustration. This is the shiny, smooth surface of the material, and then the light will not be absorbed by this material, but instead it will reflect, it will bounce off. Okay, will bounce off siya. For the other rough surfaces, though they are, let's say that siya, they are shiny and they are also brittles. Okay, but what will happen there is that the surface will now affect the reflection of the light. So if the surface is rough and dull, let's say that dili siya plus no, dili siya, what do you call this one? Dili siya parehas og size. The measurement is not the same. No? Medyo crooked ang iyahang figure. What will happen to the rays of the light is that mascatter po siya. Okay? But should not be reflection, Metabo. Yes, there's a reflection. But reflection here is diffused. It means it's not totally following the same direction. It is now the direction of the light, though nag-bounce off siya, scattered ang iyahang kanang appearance. So there are two examples of mirrors, class. Okay, let's try to see this, to have this illustration. Okay, so there are two examples of the mirror. Okay, we have a periscope, which means you see things. You can only see things based from its kanang like for example, layo kay ka, pero ang makita nimo is let's say only the inverted kanang image of yours. On the other hand, the car headlight, it is something to do with how the light has been reflected throughout, like scattered jud kay siya, no? Dili siya ingon nga on a straight motion, but in a scattering motion siya. Dili siya pud scattered, but scattered means nga nagkasikiya ang light. Instead, inside that kanang headlight or that glass na sa headlight is na a bulb, and then the light that is being reflected inside that headlight will now be let's say mo wide siya, no, mas mo broaden ang iyahang reflection. And then on the first hand, like this man, okay, ang kakita niya sa yung image is this blue nga maka-shape, but he's a human. But what he can see is that let's say the inverted image of him. Okay, di niya kaklaro ang iyaha yung kanang reflection. What he can see is just the details of his reflection, but it's not totally his whole reflection. So what's the reason behind this situation? So there are two types of mirror actually, no, there are three types of mirror. We have the plane mirror, the concave, and the convex. The plane mirrors are mirrors that are flat and make virtual images. So the images is virtual because the light rays do not come from the image and they only appear to. So this is normally these are the normal mirrors that we can see every day. So muna siya ang mga muna siya ang mga usual mirror nga kung unsay imong image mo dyan imong itsura. Okay? So nalagi mga image sir nga kwan sir. Kanang gamay kimitan awon sa kwan sa amin. Okay. Now, naay mga sa amin nga different in shape. Okay? But plain siya. Pag plain na siya ang mirror class, every details of your body can only be seen on that mirror. Diba? This regardless kung usa ka gamay na okay, kung gamay ang mirror, gamay na ba makita ng parts of the body, but if it's too big, makita dyan yung whole, no? But there are some reflection can also be pwede siya ma-convert into many. Like for example, we have the convex mirror. Now, the convex mirror here is that the sphere is silvered on the outside to form a reflective surface on the convex mirror. Example for this one is kanabitang mga kutsara, no? Kanang mga naka-convex shape nga naka-convex nga structure ng mga materials. What you can see is that ang imuhang kana itsura diya pag-abot din sa tanaw ni imong kaniba imong dagway sa kanang kutsara. Di ba ma-invert ang imong image, no? Makwan ka kanang what you call this one? Mahiwi imong dagway, no? Mahiwi ang imong itsura. Now, the opposite of that one is the concave mirror. The sphere is silvered on the inside to form a reflective surface on the concave mirror. The headlight is made up of a concave mirror. Okay? If the bulb is inside in this sphere, what will happen is that the reflection of that light can now be seen outside of this sphere. So instead of converting the reflection of that bulb inside that concave mirror, what will happen is that it will only scattered, but yet you can actually see the actual yapon na image sa bulb or even the light reflected by the bulb. So kung ato siya ikon sa convex mirror, it will deflect. Okay? So let's say that not 100% of the light rays can actually be absorbed by a convex mirror, unlike sa concave. Okay, because it is the light is trapped inside, so it will just bounce back and off. Yun siya sa concave. So example sa mga concave mirrors, so naatay katong most of the time ginagamit po na siya sa glass, ginagamit po na siya sa mga kanang side mirrors. Okay, mga concave mirrors ang most na. Hindi sila pwede sa convex. Okay, kung mag-convex maguna sila, imbes na layo pa kayo ang sakyanan, abi nagduol na. Diba? So, unlock siya. Gawa sa concave mirror man good kay kung asa ka layo jud ang car is layo din na siya. Okay, nadyo na siya sa exact niya nga position. Also, the stores are using this one katong di pa uso ang CCTV, diba? Gagamiton na sa mga tindahan. So, makita mo reflection. Okay? Some of them are actually using convex mirror because ang convex mirror man good medyo ma-invert jud ang imong image. So makuha jud siya. Makuha ang whole body even sa imong kakwaon or etc. Bisa paglayo kayo ang natanaw. Okay? Isabtan ang type of mirrors, class?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The concave mirrors are curved inward. Just remember, you go into a cave and into a concave mirror. For the convex mirrors, these are mirrors that curve outward. The convex mirrors are used for security purposes or in cars. They allow us to see the wide view, the images they make are virtual. So like I've said, no, most of the stores are using this one instead of what you call this one, instead of kanang mga sa una before CCTV. For the car pod, kada bitong mga back bitaw sa car class, kana sa likod sa sakyanan jud bitaw. Especially no nga kanang mag-backing. Okay, they're actually using convex mirrors. So asa na siya usually ginabutang, usahay ginabutang na siya rito sa atubangan. Okay, kanang nasa atubangan ng mga mirrors no nga. Makit-an jud ang visual sa likod. Okay, mas ma-zoom in sa likod. But for the side mirrors, it's concave that is much better than the convex, because again, it's quite deceiving for the convex mirror to be used on the side as a side mirror. Okay, medyo delikado din siya. Now, the review of refraction. There are two types of refraction, okay, regular and diffuse. Mirrors comes in three types: plane, convex, and concave. So they can be into many distinct shapes and uses. And the mirrors can make virtual images real or invert depending on their type. So kung naa kay sa amin diya nga magkakuha ang imong whole face, do gamay kay siya, that could be a convex mirror. Okay? So virtual images, there are light rays that do not meet and the image is always upright and right side up. So what it is what it is for the virtual images. Like our camera, no? But for the camera mga good kay, they're not actually using mirrors, di ba? The real images, always upside down, are formed with light rays that is actually neat. So these are images that can be small or it could be huge. It could be tiny or anything, but the details are very specific. Now, the refraction, it is when the waves speed up or slow down due to the traveling into a different medium. So it is where, let's say that the medium used was too rough, okay, for the light to pass through. A medium is something that light waves will travel through. So I'm talking about the solid, liquid, and the gas. Okay, if I talk about the medium. Light rays are slowed down by the water, causes the ruler to bend at the surface, and most mediums in this example are water and air. Like the degree that light bends when it enters a new medium is called the index of refraction. So the index of refraction is naa siya focal point, naa siya actually daghan kay siya kuno naa siya involved in calculations. So like what happened here sa ato ang gitawag nga experiment. So virtual experiment nato ni. If you have a ruler tapos ay mo na siyang sulod sa ano bitang water, mo siya gisubsob sa water, no? If you will be if mo siya gamitan og kanang glass glass of water, even pencil, di ba, can be an example for this one. What will happen to the what is happening to the object once imo siyang ibutang sa tubig? Di ba mag-change siya? O mahiwi siya, no? But once you pull the object, magbalik siya sa iyang kwan, there's no change kay tabo. So it is so the reason or the explanation behind this one is because the light was bent. Okay? The light was bent. So in this straight ang iyang motion sa light, may scattered na noon siya. Because again, the light travels slower than the water. The light travels slower in the water or in any liquid. So any object that is involved in the presence of that liquid with also the presence of the light, the object or the sample nga imuhang gigamit will be affected as well. Diba? So imagine that one. So in any situation, it could be the best example because, like they've said, like this law of refraction said, it is the light that is bent and it's not the object. So bisa pag unsa na siya nga klase, even if you use metals, even if you use plastics, still the light will bend and the object will stay affected. So this one, like this prism, instead of being reflected or scattered into different direction, what happened here is that the light ray that is passing through on the sample medium, let's say this is the water, the light will bend. It has its, we can still see the same figure, but we cannot see the exact position of that figure. So when the light is hitting at the angle is bent, this is the normal, okay, the normal light. And then this is, example, this is the water. And then the light now will slowly travel to deep, deep, deep down. And then the kwan. And then what happened dayon dani is that it will pass through sa imong eyes. So if this is your eye class, kaning bitong araw niya dani, if this is your eyes, you can actually see that the image here is okay. But you can see, what you can see is that the abnormality of the image caused because of what is happening on the object. But still, again, it's normal because the object is still normal. Di ba? Nothing happened to the object, actually. But because of the reflection, or because of the refraction, what you can see is that, okay, nabulag ang ulo sa lawas. So, yan na siya. If the light is hitting straight on it, it is not bent. So, for example, if you are just using, if there is no liquid involved, okay, there's only a glass. So even if you put the kwan there, the pencil, what you can see is still the pencil. No? Okay, let's talk about lenses. This is the opposite of the mirrors. So lenses works because of the reflection. If the reflection is about the mirror, then the lens is about the reflection. So it's more on the deceiving side. So lenses works because of the refraction. Light is bent as it enters a new medium, like for example, glass. So how can we differentiate these different lenses? So most of the lenses, so these are the following composition of the lenses. They are thicker in the middle and thin on the edges. Light rays meet to form a focal point. It makes real images, but since light rays come together from a light source, it can also create a virtual images. Like for example, a center pictures. Okay, we will be giving examples for that one later. And it is used in cameras, telescopes. It can also be example for the human eye, or it can also be used in a different perspective. For example, kind of itang mga, what do you call this one? Kind of itang mga karaan nito sa unang kwan class na kanang create og image. Actually, cameras before, even now, di ba sa itong mga cell phones, they are using lenses. Because ang lenses pang good is, magmatter ang image on its kanang width and its thickness. So, because of the thickness of that sample, the lens, diya magmatter dayon ang yang results sa mga images. So, if you talk about a plain convex lens, so most of the time, no, we use plain convex lens to our eyeglasses. Okay, we also use double convex lens, especially when you are referring to what you call this one, telescopes, okay, cameras, those who need kanabitang mga, let's say, levels of lenses that can help the device to capture, or let's say pakitaan ang wholeness or ang details sa ka-object even ang nakadistansya. And then for the concave convex lens, these are the lenses that actually we use, especially when we are talking about mga magnifying glass. Okay, so they're actually, especially they can also be used in pwede ka po sila magamit sa mga eyeglasses, but not all the time. Because again, it depends on the level. Concave lenses are thin in the middle and thicker in the edges. Since light rays never meet with this lens, they make virtual images only. And it's used in cameras and telescope to correct spherical aberration and also eyeglasses. Diba? So they are most common to be used, especially when you're trying to capture virtual images without compromising the details. So instead of seeing only the pixelated picture, with the use of the lens, pwede natin siya makita ng whole niya. Diba? Every details. So it is mostly common sa mga especially when you are trying to make an object small to large and large object to small. So lenses can also be a part of it. Okay, so these are the so those are the example, or those are the things that are part, no, of the discussion about light. Any question so far?
Wala na, sir.
Okay, we will continue our discussion about colors next time. Later, I will upload the what do you call this one? The modules for the midterm. Para pagka next week, papasa na yun. So, no questions? No bad reactions?
Wala na, sir.
Okay. So, I will be presenting to you the calculations pag mag face to face, okay? So, I guess that's it for this day. Thank you so much for listening, class, and have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.